The alert comes at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I am seated at my desk on the fourth floor of a nondescript federal building in downtown Washington, surrounded by compliance folders, case briefs, and 3 monitors displaying financial transaction patterns from the past 6 months. My coffee has gone cold. Outside the window, the traffic on Pennsylvania Avenue moves in predictable intervals. Inside, everything is controlled, categorized, documented. The email subject line reads, "Credit monitoring alert, new inquiry detected." I do not panic. Panic is not part of my training. I click through to the details. A bank inquiry. Hard pull. An institution I do not recognize, Prestige Financial Solutions, a mid-tier lender specializing in personal loans for high-income borrowers. The inquiry occurred 4 days ago. I did not apply for any loan. I did not authorize any credit check. My pulse does not quicken. My breathing does not change. Instead, something else happens, something I have spent 7 years cultivating in windowless rooms filled with suspicious activity reports and multi-jurisdictional fraud cases. Recognition. This is not an error. This is a crime in progress. I minimize the email and open a blank document. I type the date, the time, the institution name. I take a screenshot of the alert and save it with a timestamp in the file name. Then I sit back in my chair and allow myself 1 moment of consideration before the machine inside me begins to move. 4 days ago, Jessica posted a photo on Instagram: champagne flutes, a marble countertop, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the Potomac. The caption read, "A new chapter. Finally living the life I deserve." I close my eyes and reconstruct the timeline. Easter brunch was 3 weeks ago. My parents insisted on hosting at their house in McLean, the colonial with the manicured lawn and the dining room that smells like furniture polish and unspoken disappointment. I arrived on time, wearing the same navy blazer I wear to interagency briefings. My mother greeted me with a distracted hug and immediately returned to arranging flowers in the foyer. Jessica arrived 40 minutes late. She swept through the front door wearing sunglasses indoors, carrying a cream-colored Hermes bag I knew cost more than my monthly rent. Her heels clicked against the hardwood like a performance. Behind her, visible through the open door, sat a black Mercedes GLE, new, gleaming, dealer plates still attached. My father stood from the table. "There she is." Jessica tossed her bag onto the console table and pulled off her sunglasses with theatrical flair. Sorry. Traffic was insane coming from the city." "You got a new car?" My mother asked, already smiling. "Leased," Jessica said quickly. Too quickly. "Business expense. You know how it is." I did not know how it was. Jessica's employment history was a rotating series of vague titles: consultant, investment advisor, private equity liaison, none of which seemed to require an office or regular hours. When pressed, she described her work as a connecting people and a facilitating opportunities. Our father called it entrepreneurship. I called it unsustainable. We sat down to eat. The conversation circled around Jessica's new condo, her upcoming trip to Dubai, her plans to launch a boutique investment fund. My mother asked approving questions. My father offered unsolicited business advice. I cut my ham into small, even pieces and said nothing. At one point, Jessica turned to me. "And how's the paper pushing, Em?" I looked up. "It's fine." "Still at FinCEN?" She pronounced it wrong, deliberately. "FinCEN?" "Yes." God, I could never do government work. All those rules. All that bureaucracy. She leaned back in her chair, swirling her wine. Don't you ever want to do something that actually makes money? My mother laughed nervously. Jessica. I'm just saying. Emily's smart. She could be doing something bigger. My father nodded thoughtfully, as if this were a reasonable observation. Private sector would pay a lot more for someone with your skill set, Emily. I set down my fork. I like what I do. Jessica smirked. Of course you do. The conversation moved on. I returned to my ham. But I also returned to something else, a habit developed over years of analyzing fraudulent financial behavior. I began to calculate. The Mercedes lease, approximately $1,800 per month. The Hermes bag, $8,000 to $12,000 retail. The condo Jessica mentioned, located in a luxury high-rise near Georgetown, at minimum, $4,000 per month, likely more. I did not know Jessica's current income, but I knew her employment history. I knew her credit score from a parsing comment she made 2 Christmases ago. I knew she had been living with a roommate in Silver Spring as recently as 6 months prior. The math did not work. I did not say this aloud. I have learned that in my family, math is not welcome at the table. Now, sitting at my desk with the credit alert still open on my screen, I dial Jessica's number. She answers on the 4th ring. Hey, what's up? Her voice is bright, unguarded. She is not expecting suspicion. Hey, I say, keeping my tone light. Quick question. Did you apply for anything using my information recently? Silence. 2 seconds. Long enough. What? No. Why would I do that? I got a credit monitoring alert. A bank inquiry I didn't recognize. Just wanted to check if maybe you accidentally used the wrong SSN or something. Emily, I would never. That's insane. It's probably just a mistake. You know how these credit companies are. Right. I say. Probably. Seriously, don't worry about it. Just dispute it or whatever. I let the silence sit. I gotta go, Jessica says. I'm meeting a client. She hangs up before I can respond. I set my phone down on the desk and open a new folder on my encrypted drive. I title it, Personal Matter, Documentation Only. Then I create a subfolder labeled Timeline. The investigator mindset does not have an off switch. I access my full credit report using internal credentials. This is technically allowed for personal monitoring, though I document the access in my compliance log to avoid any appearance of impropriety. The report loads in sections: inquiries, open accounts, payment history. There, buried in the inquiries section, is Prestige Financial Solutions. I expand the entry. The inquiry was made in connection with a personal loan application. I click through to a linked alert from Experian. A new trade line has been opened in my name. Amount: $89,000. Disbursement date: March 21st. 11 days ago. I feel nothing. Not shock, not anger. I feel the way I feel when I identify a shell company in a money laundering case, the satisfaction of a pattern clicking into place. I pull the full loan documentation using a request form routed through consumer protection protocols. Within 90 minutes, I have a PDF containing the application, the promissory note, and the verification documents. The signature is mine. Or rather, it is a version of my signature, slightly overpracticed, too controlled. The income listed is incorrect, $135,000 annually. My actual salary is $78,000. The employment verification lists FinCEN, but the contact number is a cell phone, not our HR department. Everything about this loan is false except the social security number. I save the documents. I create a spreadsheet. I begin to build the timeline with forensic precision. Here is what I know. Jessica moved into her new condo on March 23rd. She posted about it on social media, unpacking boxes, a view of the river, hashtags about a manifesting abundance. The lease agreement, which I locate through public property records in the District of Columbia, lists a security deposit and first month's rent totaling $11,000. On March 22nd, one day after the loan disbursement, Jessica's Instagram story showed a black Mercedes parked in front of a luxury car dealership in Bethesda. The caption: "A treat yourself." The down payment on a lease for that vehicle, based on current dealer incentives, would be approximately $6,000. On March 25th, Jessica posted a photo of herself at BLT steak with 3 other women, a bottle of Dom Perignon visible on the table. The caption: "As celebrating new beginnings with my girls." The pieces do not simply fit. They lock together with mechanical certainty. Jessica stole my identity. She forged loan documents. She used federal employee information to inflate credibility. And she spent the money in less than 2 weeks on visible, traceable luxuries. I should report this immediately. I should freeze my credit, dispute the loan, contact the lender's fraud department. I do not. Instead, I lean back in my chair and consider the larger picture. If I dispute this now, the investigation will be handled by the lender's internal fraud unit. They will flag the account, reverse the loan, and possibly refer the matter to local police. Jessica will face consequences, but they will be civil, minimal. She will claim ignorance, blame a third party, settle quietly. My parents will hire a lawyer. The case will disappear into administrative obscurity. That is not sufficient. This is not theft from a nameless institution. This is theft from me, someone who has spent her entire career dismantling financial crimes with methodical precision. This is arrogance. This is entitlement. This is a belief that I am too small, too quiet, too compliant to act. I will not dispute the loan. Not yet. I will document everything. I will build a case so airtight that no amount of family pressure or expensive legal counsel can dismantle it. And when I am ready, I will not go to a bank's fraud department. I will go to the federal government. Over the next 2 weeks, I work in parallel, my official caseload during business hours, and my private investigation during evenings and weekends. I create a master spreadsheet tracking every financial transaction I can legally access or infer. I use open-source intelligence methods, social media geolocation, public property records, business filings, vehicle registration databases. I do not break any laws. I do not access restricted systems without justification. Everything I collect would be admissible in court. Jessica's spending continues. A weekend trip to Miami. A designer handbag unboxing video. Dinner reservations at Rosiker and Fioler Mare. I save everything. I also begin pulling financial indicators on Jessica's known business entities. She is listed as a managing member of 2 Delaware LLCs, both registered in the past 18 months. Neither has filed taxes. Neither shows evidence of legitimate revenue. Red flags compound. Then, one evening, I receive a text message. "Mom, family dinner this Saturday at our place. 6 p.m. Jessica has exciting news to share. Please come." I stare at the message for a long moment. Then I reply, "I'll be there." Saturday arrives cool and clear. I drive my 11-year-old Honda Civic from Arlington across the river into Virginia's wealthy suburbs. My car is paid off. It is boring. It is invisible. I prefer it that way. I park on the street in front of my parents' house and sit for a moment, reviewing my plan. Virginia is a one-party consent state. I am legally permitted to record conversations in which I am a participant without informing the other parties. I have installed a recording app on my phone. I have tested it 3 times. The audio quality is clear. I take my phone out of my purse, open the app, and press record. Then I place the phone in my blazer's inner pocket, microphone facing outward. I walk up the driveway and ring the doorbell. My mother answers, smiling. "Emily. Come in, come in." Inside, the house smells like roasted chicken and rosemary. My father is in the living room, reading the Post. Jessica is already at the dining table, scrolling through her phone, a glass of white wine in her hand. She looks up when I enter. "Hey, Em." "Hey." We sit. My mother brings out dishes. My father pours wine. The small talk is practiced and shallow: weather, traffic, an upcoming fundraiser at the country club. Then my father clears his throat. "So, Jessica, you said you had news?" Jessica lights up. She sets down her glass and leans forward, her eyes bright. "I closed my first major deal," as she says. "A client I've been working with for months finally committed. Big investment. 6 figures." My mother gasps. "Jessica, that's amazing." "I know, right? I mean, it's been so much work, but it's finally paying off." She glances at me, just for a second. Not everyone understands the grind, but when you're building something real, you have to take risks. My father raises his glass. To taking risks. They drink. I do not. Jessica continues, emboldened by wine and attention. "And honestly, the timing couldn't be better. I was able to invest in myself, you know? Get the condo, upgrade my car, build the image. You have to look successful to be successful." "Absolutely," my father says. I set down my fork. "Where did the initial capital come from?" The table goes quiet. Jessica blinks. "What?" "For the condo deposit. The car. That kind of upfront investment." "Where did the money come from?" Jessica's smile tightens. "Savings. Loans. I've been working my ass off, Emily." "Which loans?" "Why does it matter?" I meet her eyes. "I'm just curious. I work in financial crimes. I like understanding how people finance major purchases." "Jesus Christ, Emily, can you not do this right now?" Jessica's voice rises. "Can you just be normal for once?" My mother interjects quickly. "Emily, this is a celebration." "I'm just asking a question." Jessica refills her wine glass, her hand slightly unsteady. "Fine. You want to know? I took out a personal loan. Pre-approved. Great rate. I used it to invest in my business, and now it's paying off. Happy?" "What lender?" "Does it matter?" "It might." Jessica slams her glass down. "You know what, Emily? This is exactly why nobody likes talking to you. You're so uptight. So suspicious. Not everything is a crime." I let the silence settle. Then I say, very calmly, identity theft is a federal crime under 18 U.S.C. Section 1028. Loan fraud exceeding $75,000 can result in up to 30 years in federal prison. Wire fraud, if the loan involved electronic transfer across state lines, adds another 20 years. Jessica stares at me. My father sets down his fork. What the hell are you talking about? I turn to him. Jessica took out an $89,000 personal loan in my name. She forged my signature. She falsified my income. She used my social security number and my employment information to secure fraudulent financing. My mother's face drains of color. Emily. I have the loan documents. I have the disbursement records. I have time-stamped social media posts showing purchases made within 48 hours of the funds clearing. I have property records showing the condo deposit. I have everything. Jessica's voice cracks. You're insane. I'm precise. You can't prove anything. I can prove all of it. My father stands abruptly. Enough. This is family business. We'll handle this privately. It stopped being private when it became a federal crime. Emily. My mother's voice is pleading now. She's your sister. I look at Jessica. Her face is flushed, her hands trembling. She looks cornered. I feel nothing. I know, I say quietly. That's the part I'm still trying to understand. I stand, picking up my purse. My phone is still recording. You're not actually going to do anything, Jessica says. Her voice is shaking but defiant. You won't. You never do. I pause at the threshold between the dining room and the foyer. You're right, I say. I never did. I walk out the front door, get into my car, and drive. I do not go home. I drive east on Route 50, across the river, back into the district. The streets are nearly empty. I take the exit toward downtown and pull into the parking garage beneath my office building. I swipe my badge at the security desk and take the elevator to the 4th floor. The office is dark except for the emergency lighting along the corridors. I unlock my door, sit down at my desk, and open my computer. I spend the next 3 hours writing a formal disclosure memorandum. The memo is addressed to my direct supervisor and copied to the Office of Professional Responsibility. It details a potential conflict of interest. I have become aware of credible evidence suggesting that a family member may have committed federal identity theft and loan fraud, using my personal information as part of the scheme. I am disclosing this immediately to ensure that I am recused from any investigation and that the matter is handled without bias or impropriety. I attach the evidence package, loan documents, credit reports, financial timelines, recorded conversations, social media archives. I include a formal statement affirming that I have not accessed any restricted databases outside normal compliance procedures, that I have documented all actions, and that I am voluntarily stepping away from any investigative role. At 11:43 p.m., I submit the memo through the secure internal reporting system. Then I forward the entire package to the FBI's Financial Crimes Section and the U.S. Attorney's Office for the Eastern District of Virginia. I copy the Secret Service, which has jurisdiction over financial fraud cases involving identity theft. I attach a brief cover letter explaining that I am a federal employee who has been the victim of identity theft by a family member, that I have compiled evidence in my personal capacity, and that I am requesting an independent investigation to avoid any appearance of conflict. I press send. Then I sit in the dark office, looking out at the city, and wait for morning. The response is faster than I anticipated. By Monday afternoon, I receive a call from an assistant U.S. attorney named Daniel Rothman. His voice is clipped, professional. Ms. Carter, I've reviewed your disclosure. I need to confirm, you are voluntarily recusing yourself from any investigative role? Yes. And you've provided all evidence in your possession? Everything I have. Understood. We'll take it from here. You'll be contacted for a formal victim statement, but otherwise, you are not to engage with the subject or discuss this case with anyone outside official channels. Understood. He pauses. For what it's worth, this is one of the cleanest evidence packages I've seen in a fraud case. You did good work. Thank you. He hangs up. I return to my desk and open a compliance file on beneficial ownership reporting requirements. The work is familiar, procedural, calming. Jessica's first text arrives on Tuesday. We need to talk. Call me. I do not respond. The second text arrives an hour later. Mom and Dad are freaking out. What did you do? I screenshot the message and forward it to AUSA Rothman's office email with a brief note. Subject contacted me. No response given. FYI. The third text arrives that evening. You're really going to destroy your own family over this? I forward that one, too. On Wednesday, my mother calls. I let it go to voicemail. She leaves a message asking me to please reconsider and to think about what this will do to everyone. I save the voicemail and forward the audio file to Rothman's office. On Thursday, my father calls. His message is different, angry, disappointed. He tells me I am being a vindictive and a cruel. He says Jessica made a mistake, but that I am making it worse. I forward that voicemail as well. Every attempt at contact becomes evidence. Every plea becomes documentation. 3 weeks later, I receive a call from a Secret Service agent named Karen Delacroix. She asks if I can come in for a formal interview. I agree. The interview takes place in a secure conference room in an office building I am not permitted to name. Agent Delacroix is calm, methodical, almost bored. She walks me through the timeline, confirms details, asks clarifying questions. At one point, she looks up from her notes. Did your sister think you wouldn't notice? I think she thought I wouldn't act. Why? Because I never have before. She nods, as if this makes perfect sense. Well, she was wrong. The interview lasts 90 minutes. I sign my statement. I leave. The investigation expands. Within 2 months, forensic accountants have traced the loan funds through multiple accounts. They discover that Jessica used similar methods on 2 other individuals, an ex-boyfriend and a former roommate. The total fraud amount exceeds $400,000. They also discover that my parents may have been victims as well. Jessica opened credit cards in their names without their knowledge. My father's credit score has dropped 80 points in the past year. He never checked. Assets are seized. The Mercedes is repossessed. The condo lease is terminated, and Jessica is evicted. Her bank accounts are frozen pending restitution proceedings. My parents hire a lawyer for Jessica. The lawyer reviews the evidence and advises her to plead guilty. She refuses. The trial takes place on a cold morning in November. I sit in the gallery, 3 rows behind the prosecution table. I am wearing the same navy blazer I wore to Easter brunch. I have taken the day off work using annual leave. Jessica sits at the defense table, her face pale, her hands folded in her lap. She looks smaller than I remember. The prosecutor is efficient. He enters the loan documents into evidence. He plays excerpts from the recorded family dinner. He calls a handwriting expert who testifies that the signature on the loan application does not match my verified signature samples. He calls a forensic accountant who walks the jury through the financial timeline: loan disbursement, condo deposit, car lease, luxury purchases. Each transaction is displayed on a screen with timestamps and amounts. He does not call me to testify. I am listed as a victim, but my written statement and the recorded confession are sufficient. The defense attorney tries to argue that Jessica believed she had permission, that this was a misunderstanding within a family, that the evidence is circumstantial. The prosecutor plays the recording of Jessica saying, "I took out a personal loan. Pre-approved. Great rate." He pauses the playback and looks at the jury. At no point does she mention her sister. At no point does she mention permission. She lies, clearly and deliberately, because she knows what she did was wrong. The jury deliberates for 4 hours. The verdict is guilty on all counts: identity theft, wire fraud, making false statements to a financial institution. Jessica does not cry. She stares straight ahead, her jaw tight. The judge sets sentencing for 6 weeks later. Sentencing day is shorter. The judge reviews the pre-sentence report, which details Jessica's lack of prior criminal history but also her refusal to accept responsibility. He notes the scale of the fraud, the breach of familial trust, the use of a federal employee's credentials to enhance credibility. He sentences her to 8 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. He orders full restitution to all victims, including me. He imposes a permanent ban on employment in any financial services role. Jessica's lawyer asks for leniency. The judge denies the request. This was not a crime of desperation, he says. This was a crime of entitlement. The defendant believed she was above consequences. This court disagrees. Jessica is led out in handcuffs. I remain seated until the courtroom empties. Then I stand, walk out into the cold November air, and drive back to Arlington. My parents call me 2 days after sentencing. My mother is crying. My father is silent. "Can you do something?" my mother asks. "Can you talk to someone? You work for the government, Emily. You must know people." "I do," I say. "They're the ones who prosecuted her." "Please. She's your sister." "I know." "Then how can you just, her voice breaks. "How can you do this to her?" "I didn't do this to her," I say quietly. "She did this to herself." My father takes the phone. "You could have handled this privately. You didn't have to destroy her life." "She destroyed her own life. I just documented it." "You're vindictive, Emily. You always have been." I think about this for a moment. "No," I say finally. "I'm precise. And I'm done." I hang up. 6 months later, I am offered a promotion. The position is at headquarters, Director of Identity Theft Prevention and Interagency Coordination. The job involves designing national-level protocols for detecting and preventing identity fraud, particularly cases involving federal employees and sensitive populations. The offer letter notes my exemplary performance and my demonstrated expertise in complex financial investigations. It does not mention Jessica. It does not need to. I accept the position. My parents eventually reach out to me again, not for Jessica, but for themselves. They need help cleaning up the credit damage Jessica caused. I refer them to a consumer protection attorney I know. I provide them with a step-by-step guide for disputing fraudulent accounts and rebuilding credit. I do not visit. I do not call. I send the information via email, brief and professional. My mother writes back, "We're sorry. We should have listened to you." I do not respond. Some apologies come too late to matter. Jessica writes me a letter from prison. It arrives on a Tuesday, forwarded through my office because she does not have my home address. The envelope is standard issue, the handwriting shaky. I open it in my kitchen, standing by the sink. The letter is 2 pages long. It says she is sorry. It says she was desperate. It says she thought I would never find out, and if I did, that I would forgive her. It says she didn't think it would matter. It says she always believed I was stronger than her, smarter than her, but that she thought she deserved more. At the end, she writes, "I know you won't forgive me. I just wanted you to understand." I read the letter twice. Then I fold it neatly, place it back in the envelope, and file it in a folder labeled Closed Matters. I do not write back. On a Sunday morning in early spring, I drive through Allington in my 11-year-old Honda Civic. The cherry blossoms are blooming along the parkway. Families walk together, taking photos, laughing. The world is bright and ordinary. I park near a coffee shop I like and sit by the window with a book. No one recognizes me. No one knows what I have done. I am unremarkable, invisible, exactly as I prefer. At some point, I realize that I feel lighter. Not happy, exactly. Not triumphant, but lighter. I spent most of my life being underestimated. My family saw me as the quiet one, the boring one, the one who played by the rules. They mistook discipline for weakness. They mistook patience for compliance. Jessica believed she could take from me because I would never fight back. She was half right. I did not fight. I documented. I did not yell. I prosecuted. I did not seek revenge. I enforced consequences. The difference, I now understand, is everything. Revenge is emotional. It is chaotic. It is about making someone hurt because you hurt. Justice is procedural. It is methodical. It is about restoring balance through systems designed to operate without passion. I did not destroy Jessica. I simply allowed the law to function as it was designed. And in doing so, I learned something unexpected. Freedom is not recognition. Freedom is not vindication. Freedom is not even justice. Freedom is the quiet knowledge that you are not defined by what others believe about you. My family thought I was weak. My sister thought I was irrelevant. They were both wrong. But I do not need them to know that. I finish my coffee, close my book, and walk back to my car. The day is warm. The streets are full of people living their visible, complicated lives. I merge into traffic, unremarkable and unseen, and drive home. Behind me, the cherry blossoms fall silently, blanketing the sidewalks in white. I do not look back.